Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we've talked a lot about the new expansion, balance issues, and all of that. But there is one topic I see come up a lot, and a lot of people really getting on about it, are the quest lines a mistake? Delete the quest lines. I think Zedalot, I'll try and show this tweet. Zedalot basically asking, when are the quest lines rotating to wild? I even alluded to with a tweet, like, kind of like, are they gonna get in Baku'd? And yeah, a lot of people have been really against the quests, and I wanted to go into why they kind of feel like a mistake, how some of them are actually, I think, pretty well designed, and again, how some are egregious, and we could take a look at old quests as a comparison. So I thought we'd do that. It'd be easier to do in the menu again. Sometimes, you know, we have the screenshots, but I like being in the menu for stuff like this where we're looking at like historical stuff. So yeah, what we can take a look at, I mean, Demon Hunter doesn't have anything to go by. And if you look at the quest, even with Demon Hunter, I know we talked about mass mana cheat being a problem, but we'll just talk about Demon Hunter right now. I do think the mass mana cheat thing is an issue, especially when you have a finisher like Il'gynoth, but now that that finisher doesn't exist, this isn't as problematic. But if they want to make, you know, any other relatively cheap combo-centric card, this card will kind of be flawed. But ironically, the reward part of this quest is probably the most fine because, well, it seems like the reward rarely matters. It's always about like before that. You rarely play the reward, even in like the newer, I think there's one based off the weapon. It's rarely still based off the reward. It's the first two procs in the cycle. But yeah, I mean, is this one a mistake? Is it bad for the game? I mean, mass mana cheat can be, but I'd be like on like a indifferent one on that. But you take a look at Druid, like Druid, every other class has had 3 quests, right? We saw quests during Ungoro, we saw quests during Old Doom, and we saw quests obviously in the most recent expansion, United Stormwind. And back in Old Doom, for the most part, they were kind of okay. A lot of them just sucked. Like Jungle Giants was a lot of fun. You made your minions in your deck cost 0. There's some mass mana cheat for you. But, you know, you had to summon 5 minions with 5 or more attack. It was really hard to get to, and you had to sacrifice a card because there was no makeup card. There was no questline part. It didn't refill your hand. You didn't even have cards like, I believe the 2-drop, Questing Adventurer or Questing Explorer. You could play for the Old Doom stuff to like draw a card, so it could kind of make up for losing that card. But yeah, you didn't have that at all. So you look at that, it was fine. And then you had, I know some people had issues with untapped potential because it gave you this passive effect or Syrian tier where you choose 1 cards or double, but it wasn't game winning. You didn't automatically win because you got passive effects. You could get out controlled. You could get controlled by a deck because there's no Jade Idol at the time in Standard or anything like that. And you know, there was limited threats. It wasn't infinite. And I thought this card was fine. Like, it wasn't horrendous. And even the most recent quest, we have Lost in the Park, Got for the Tough. It's a one-time bomb. You can get a bunch of copies, play like the 2-mana spell and copy it. But again, I think that's fine. This has kind of just been a nice value card with, you know, it can go face, it gives you armor, and it's just a good solid card. It doesn't win the game on its own. It's just a nice card. And I will note, though, these quest lines where you gain a card or you discover a card or whatever from your deck or you get a weapon make the quests a lot less of a downside than before. You don't really lose a card in the mulligan so much anymore, and a lot of the times the benefits along the way are way more positive. Old quests never had that. You had to build your deck pretty specifically to get your goal done. A lot of these quests don't need much of a build around, except, well, the first 2 here, Druid and Demon Hunter. Like, you do need to draw a lot, you do need to attack, but regardless, I feel like these are fine. These are fine. We look at the Hunter quest. This may have made Life Coach quit, but it was really bad. You had to play a bunch of 1-drops, and you see in Paladin, similar thing. It's not worked out very well, and you shuffle a bunch of Raptors in your deck, weren't very impactful. This was not a very good card. You had Unseal the Vault. This was a good card, but you just, you know, you would buff your board. You'd have to summon 20 minions. Quite the requirement. It would take a long time, and then you would be able to buff your minion's attack, and that was it. You don't win the game on the spot because of it, and you have limited threats. I think overall, by the way, the old Doom quests were great. They were like the perfect in between, well designed, and a good example of what a good quest can be. And then you have the latest Hunter quest where you turn into Raza Anduin, and this can be incredibly problematic if there's enough card draw and cheap spells in Hunter. I feel like this one's scary because if you give it enough support, it's crazy. But right now, especially in standard, Hunter just runs out of cards. So this one's only well designed because the support's not there. If the support was there, I'd say it'd be pretty frustrating to lose on turn 5 to this and infinite damage. The same, we look at Mage. This was one of the worst design quests in that you gain an extra turn, but they intentionally made it really hard to complete back in the day. Playing 5 spells at the time was really hard to complete. You had to run like Kabbalah's Tome and these really terrible cards, but as card generation's gotten ridiculously cheap, this became problematic. Getting an extra turn is game breaking. They nerfed it, and while it's still kind of problematic and can be game breaking, then they made Raid the Sky Temple. And just compare this to the latest quest. Cast 10 spells. Your reward, you have to pay 2 mana to get 1 random spell. So it's technically infinite value, but it's really expensive. It takes a while to get to, and the spell could be anything. When you compare it to this, where you only have to play 9 spells, they do have to be a specific school, but let's be real, that's not that hard. And then for the rest of the game, you have Malagos effectively on the board. It's ridiculous. Like, you compare Raid the Sky Temple to the Sorcerer's Gambit, it's preposterous. And I just think this is one of the more fundamentally kind of busted ones where you just that much spell damage with the cheap cards they have is just ridiculous. Paladin, I haven't seen this on ladder. We don't even really need to talk too much about it. Rise to the occasion, it's really tough. You have to play a bunch of crappy 1-drops and you're kind of out of cards and blah blah. Making the mummies, you got a reborn minion. This wasn't very good other than good, like targeting control warrior, but very well loved. People really like this quest. And the last Kaleidosaur got us a great psalm from Kibler. Other than that, not much going on there. We have Priest, which had Awaken the Makers, which was pretty popular, never spectacular, didn't win the game. You just got an 8/8 that set your health to 40. Thought that was fine. Seek Guidance is horrendous. Again, this card would be problematic if it wasn't so incredibly difficult to pull off. Plus, good luck getting to 10 mana to play the reward. And Activate the Obelisk. Again, a card people really hated, but it never won the game. You could actually play around it by not damaging your opponent. Again, relatively well designed. We have the Rogue Quest. We don't need to talk much about this. One of the worst design cards in Hearthstone. It was nerfed like a million times. It's just awful. And if it was ever good and wild again, I'd probably lose my mind. This card was really cool. It made Burgle Rogue kind of viable. You got a immune weapon. Didn't win the game. It was just a cool card. I love the design of this one. I had a lot of fun with it. Same with the Rogue. The Rogue quest, I think, is the best designed quest probably in this expansion. It's a one-time bomb. You can get some value if you like Shadow Step or bounce it back, but other than that, Scab's just a really cool card. Love it. I wish more of the quests were like this. The Shaman ones, Murloc one, a lot of fun. We have the Battle Cry one, that was really successful. I only didn't like it because of lackeys. Other than that, it was a really cool quest. This one's busted. I could see this being a problem going down the road. Again, basically infinite value for the rest of your games. Your spells cast twice with all the value generation Shaman has. This once you get this online, you're winning the game in a few turns. Like, your opponent has to kill you. So say Warlock gets nerfed, I really feel like this card's problematic, and I feel like maybe it should be like, I always felt like this one should have been your first Battle Cry triggers this turn twice. I feel like this one should be your first spell triggers twice this in the first part of the turn, right? Not every spell. So there's that issue. Trump rated this 5 stars, but the infinite value of this portal was awful. Again, look at like, compare this win condition of the Warlock quest. You had to draw 20 cards just so you could get a hero power to make them 0. Now you're just completing this on like turn 4 and 5 and exoding your opponent with fatigue damage. It's so crazy how ridiculous this, like, just look at this quest in comparison to what we've been looking at, right? The ease of completion plus the insane reward just dwarfs almost any other quest throughout the history of Hearthstone. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. And this is why when people look at the quest, they're like, this is a failure. This is a mistake, as I said about the Demon Seed. And it's just so overtuned. The prize itself that you get should probably not even exist. It's insane. So yeah, the Demon Seed, I will just say, I think it's bad design. I feel like it's one of those quests that has to be just completely unplayable to be good design, because it's unplayable. And we're looking through all these quests and you get to the Demon Seed, it's just ridiculous looking at it. And then lastly, you have Warrior. This the Fire Plume's Heart was really good, but you gotta play a bunch of taunt minions. Then you want to play like hero power centric stuff to like get your 8 damage, you know, beneficial. It was good. It wasn't game breaking. It only saw play for like a meta or two. It was solid. Hack the system, just bad. You had to attack 5 times with your hero, and your reward was a 2-mana 4/3. Again, compare that to not taking fatigue damage. I don't know what else to say. And you have Raid the Docks, which a lot of people I've heard say is a really well-designed quest, probably one of their favorites, but again, the Juggernaut, infinite damage weapon minions, but they are very low impact, and it's, you know, you can counter it with pressure and all that. The flavor of this quest is amazing and one of my all-time favorites, but again, it's arguably problematic if it ever becomes good enough because of the infinite variety. And I guess when we come to the end of it and we talk about are these quests a mistake, I'd say overall most of them are fine. Most of them don't represent an immediate game-winning condition. They don't. Most of them don't represent like infinite value or infinite damage. But the ones that do, those are the ones that I think are a bit of a fail. Warrior's borderline, but you look at Warlock, absolutely a fail. Mage to me, absolutely a fail. And then you look at Shaman, I'd say borderline, arguably quite a bit of a fail. It's really fun to play, but it doesn't make it okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, overall, I still think they, you know, more of the quests are beneficial, are good for the game, but there are some that really make me wonder how these are even comparable. Because you look through the history of Hearthstone and the quests, it's kind of a yikes when you look at the Demon Seed and some of the other ones. So let me know what you guys think below. Have the quest lines been a mistake? Are they good for the game? Overall, I would say they're good for the game, but only, you know, with a few exceptions, a few caveats, and maybe scale the living crap back out of the broken ones because they are just so crazy. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.